They mocked him, humiliated him, laughed behind his back, made up stories, but none of them had any idea of the real reason why he kept to himself. It wasn't arrogance, it wasn't coldness, it was something heartbreaking, and no one ever cared enough to ask. This is Elias's story, and it just might change the way you see people. Elias was a simple man, quiet, always arriving early to work. He worked as a janitor at a large construction supply company. He had tired eyes, a weary expression, and a serious posture. Many thought he acted like he was better than everyone else. Some even said he was arrogant, distant, strange. At lunchtime, while everyone else laughed together in the break room, Elias would sit alone in the corner. Sometimes he ate dry bread wrapped in a napkin. Other times he just drank water and stared at the floor. It was like his body was there, but his mind was somewhere else. What nobody knew was what happened in his life outside the company gates. Every night, Elias faced a kind of battle few people could handle. His daughter Isadora, just 5 years old, suffered from a severe health condition. She had constant seizures, sudden and without warning. Many nights he stayed awake by her bedside, watching every breath, every movement. When she had a seizure, he'd scoop her up in his arms and rush to the hospital, wait hours to be seen, and then go home just as the sun was rising. No sleep, no food, no complaints. His wife had left them years earlier, said she couldn't handle that kind of life anymore, said she wanted to feel alive again. Since then, Elias had been everything for his daughter. Father, mother, nurse, caretaker. And still, he never missed a day of work. Was never late. Did the heaviest tasks, always respectful, always silent, avoiding unnecessary conversation. But no one knew any of this, and in his silence, people made up their own stories. That guy thinks he's the boss, some would say. He's always frowning, doesn't even say good morning. Thinks he's too good for us. Bit by bit they started treating him coldly. They excluded him from conversations, mocked him behind his back, made little jokes when he walked by, and he, instead of fighting back, stayed quiet. Eyes down, always working. One day a new guy was hired, Anderson. Young, outgoing, made friends quickly. Within a few days he was part of the group. But Anderson started to notice Elias. It bothered him how everyone treated Elias with contempt. What bothered him even more was how Elias never reacted. "What's up with that guy?" he asked one day. "Oh, forget it," someone said. "He's weird, acts all high and mighty, probably thinks we're beneath him." But Anderson wasn't convinced. He started watching more closely. One rainy morning, Elias showed up more soaked than usual. His clothes were drenched, face even more exhausted than normal. And still, he went straight to work. No one asked if he was okay. On the contrary, some laughed, made jokes about how he looked. Elias acted like he didn't hear a thing. Another day, his lunch went missing from the shared fridge. He didn't say a word, just sat on his usual bench, drank water, and stayed silent. People giggled and whispered. Elias remained still. Time went on, and his co-workers became more annoyed by his behavior. "That guy's so stuck up, makes me sick," someone muttered. "He needs to learn some humility." That's when a few decided to teach Elias a lesson. Just a joke, they said. A way to bring him down a notch. So they planned something. A fake gift. A trap. They laughed a lot while setting it up. Not once did they stop to think how it might affect him. That month, as usual, the company hosted a small Friday lunch party. Grilled meat, soda, loud music. Elias came down to the courtyard like always, sat on the same bench, off to the side, watching from a distance. He looked even more drained than usual. His daughter had had a bad seizure the night before. He hadn't slept at all, but he showed up. On the other side of the courtyard, everything was ready. The group gathered with smiles. One of them grabbed the microphone. "Today, besides our usual lunch, we'd like to recognize someone special," he announced. "Someone who's always here, even if they don't say much. Our employee of the month, Elias." Some laughed, others clapped. Elias looked around, confused. One of the co-workers walked up to him with a gift box. beautifully wrapped, colorful. This was the moment they had all waited for. Elias stood up, took the box, looked at it silently, waited a few seconds. Then he took a deep breath, and he spoke. I don't know what's in here, but I think it's time I explained what you never bothered to ask. The courtyard went silent. I'm not better than anyone else. I'm not arrogant. I'm not stuck up. I'm tired of nights without sleep, caring for my sick daughter, tired of rushing to hospitals, tired of wondering if I'll have enough money for her medicine at the end of the month, tired of smiling on the outside while breaking apart inside. His eyes were full of tears, but he stayed composed. I come here every day, even when I have nothing left in me, because I can't afford to stop. I stay quiet because if I speak, maybe I'll fall apart. And maybe none of you are ready to hear that. Now the silence was unbearable. I appreciate the box, but I won't open it, because what's in here doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what's inside of you, he said, pointing to their chests. And that, some of you seem to have forgotten. Your heart. He handed the box back, turned around, sat down again. No one could say a word. One by one they lowered their heads. Some cried. Anderson was the first to walk over and sit next to Elias. He shook his hand. Others followed. The box was eventually opened discreetly. Inside were objects meant to humiliate him, things to make him a joke. But no one was laughing anymore. What was meant to be funny turned into a heavy weight on everyone's conscience. Elias didn't want revenge or praise. He just wanted respect. That day, his silence spoke louder than any microphone ever could. And from that day on, they never looked at Elias the same way again. And many of them never looked at anyone the same again.